Picture this. A child sits at the dinner table, excited to share what happened at school today. But nobody asks. Nobody notices. The food gets eaten, plates get cleared, and that story stays locked inside. This happens once, twice, 100 times, and slowly that child learns a painful lesson. My feelings don't matter. Today we're talking about something millions of people carry into adulthood, but rarely understand. The hidden pain of emotional neglect. Here's the thing most people get wrong. When we think about childhood trauma, we picture the obvious stuff. Abuse, violence, addiction. But emotional neglect? It leaves no bruises, no scars you can see. It's the absence of something, not the presence of harm. And that's exactly why it's so damaging and so misunderstood. Emotional neglect happens when a child's emotional needs consistently go unmet. It's not about parents who don't love their kids. In fact, many emotionally neglectful parents do love their children deeply. They provide food, shelter, education, everything on paper. But they miss something crucial: the emotional connection, the validation, the sense that what you feel actually matters to someone. Let me paint you a clearer picture. Imagine a kid comes home crying because their best friend ditched them at lunch. An emotionally attuned parent might sit down, make eye contact, and say something like, "That must have really hurt your feelings. Want to talk about it?" But an emotionally neglectful parent might say, "You'll get over it," or "Stop being so dramatic," or worse, just ignore it completely and ask about homework instead. The message the child receives? Your emotions are inconvenient. Your pain is too much. Keep it to yourself. Now multiply that by thousands of interactions over 18 years. That's how emotional neglect works. It's not one big traumatic event. It's 1,000 small moments of disconnection that add up to a child who learns they need to handle everything alone. And here's where it gets really interesting. These kids often grow up to be highly functional adults. They're independent, self-reliant. They don't ask for help. On the surface, they look like they have it all together. But underneath, there's this deep sense of emptiness, a feeling that something's wrong with them, but they can't quite name what it is. The psychology behind this is fascinating. When children don't get emotional validation, their brain essentially learns that emotions are dangerous or useless. They develop what psychologists call emotional neglect syndrome. They struggle to identify their own feelings. They minimize their needs. They feel guilty for wanting emotional support. They become experts at taking care of everyone else while completely ignoring their own emotional world. Think about the adult version of that neglected child. They're the friend who always listens but never shares their own problems. The partner who says, "I'm fine," when they're clearly not. The coworker who burns out because they can't say no. They've learned that their emotional needs are a burden, so they've become masters at hiding them, even from themselves. The impact shows up in relationships too. Intimacy becomes terrifying because it requires vulnerability, and vulnerability was never safe as a child. They might push people away just when things get close, or they pick partners who are emotionally unavailable because that feels familiar. They repeat the pattern without even realizing it. But here's something important. This isn't about blaming parents. Many emotionally neglectful parents were themselves emotionally neglected. They're passing down what they learned. They don't have the emotional vocabulary or awareness to give what they never received. It's a cycle, and understanding that cycle is the first step to breaking it. So what does healing look like? First, recognition. Understanding that your feelings were real and deserved attention, even if you didn't get it. Second, learning emotional literacy. Actually putting words to what you feel, which sounds simple but is incredibly hard for someone who was taught to ignore their inner world. Third, practicing self-compassion. Treating yourself with the kindness you deserved as a child but didn't receive. The journey isn't easy. It means unlearning years of conditioning. It means feeling emotions you've spent decades avoiding. It means being vulnerable when everything in you says that's dangerous. but it's possible. Thousands of people do this work every day and come out the other side with healthier relationships, better self-awareness, and a sense of wholeness they never thought possible. If this resonates with you, know that you're not alone. Emotional neglect is far more common than most people realize. It's the silent epidemic nobody talks about because it doesn't look like traditional trauma. But its effects are just as real and just as deserving of acknowledgement and healing. The hidden pain of emotional neglect doesn't have to stay hidden forever. Recognition is power, understanding is healing, and every step you take toward honoring your emotional reality is a step toward becoming the person you were always meant to be. What's your experience with this topic? Have you recognized patterns of emotional neglect in your own life? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. And if this video helped you understand something you've been struggling with, share it with someone who might need to hear this message too. Sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is let others know they're not alone in their hidden pain.